Okay, the channel is live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. We're going to play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Off with their
The
heads.
end. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm Christiana Ellis. I am the Dungeon Master, but also tonight I am expecting to see my player characters here start to disintegrate on a cellular level, and I can only imagine it would be excruciatingly painful, and I can't wait to watch. Because I am in costume, and I hope people recognize it. I'm not going to say what it is otherwise, because it's embarrassing. But we're in costume tonight because it's not Halloween. Our players tonight Paul Fisher as Zinhorn. Should probably go ahead and adjust name tags so it's just the right names now.
Yes. Hello. Good evening. Lovely.
I didn't
Great to
realize
see
you were
you.
staying in virtual avatar form.
Oh,
No, that's fine.
This
I just didn't
costume.
realize
well,
that was the plan.
well, this is my costume.
Sure. Um, Jenny Meltzer as Zaylene.
Nightshade, Saline, it's all the same now.
Starla Hutchton as Carolina Swift.
Hello, friends.
And Mark Kilfoyle as Vertigo? Nedry?
Beware the future, me. Because I got a beard.
Is that is that you're saying that you're telling yourself to beware the future, or you are telling some unspecified party to beware the future you?
I think generally everyone should be a little bit bewared.
Well, there's at least one person who probably should have been more aware. And that's the Emperor of the Tashmian Empire, because somehow, while y'all were running around in the Feywild having a great time, here in the Prime Material Plane, apparently the Emperor has been assassinated. Whoops. So, you having achieved your mission in the Feywild of obtaining the Diamond with Infinite Facets, one of two artifacts that you needed in order to create a gateway in the sealed city of Dinuthere. You received upon your return a message from an old adversary who implied that he had secured the other part and that you should meet him at the temple, unspecified, and tell no one. The interesting thing about him saying he had obtained the other one is that you had last heard of it being in the possession of the Emperor of the Tashmian Empire. And then upon your arrival here, you discover that the teleportation circle is heavily guarded, and you are informed that the Emperor has been assassinated. Uh-oh. So,
Oh, no.
you got the guards to stand down, at least initially, based on having your pins, your little badges that you received from the so-called friend of the Emperor, Nelson Devereaux. And so they assumed you were here to help, only to discover that they had to tell you what had happened. But now they are looking uncertain, like you look surprised and like you're not sure what you're supposed to do, and that's making them feel like they're not sure what they're supposed to do. And one of them has gone off to speak quietly in a sending stone, and he's doing it clearly with several back and forths and looking back at you uncertainly.
Well, I think we should go see Nelson Devereaux,
Yeah?
the friend of the Emperor.
Are they gonna let us do that?
I mean, at least get in touch, but
Yep.
I would like to point out that we still have our new friends with us.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, they're in the tower, right?
Are they?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will allow you all to to decide how you would have gone through, but I believe you did have security at least in the tower specifically because you were still maybe kind of worried about what happens.
Yeah.
And we needed to be able to tell Yobert to land the castle first and make sure.
Right.
But this does add more things to our agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why can't
So many
things just stay
agendas.
fixed?
The entire
This is why
universe
we
is
can't
falling
have-
apart. Why would
This
you
is
expect
why-
any less here?
So the
That's okay.
the guard that was talking on the sending stone has apparently finished his conversation there, and he is whispering to the others, and then he goes to you, up to you, and he says, "If I could ask all of you to please come with me, I will escort you to one of the palace buildings for debrief."
Yes, please.
Yes.
Can you tell us any information about what happened?
I need to ask you to come with me to the palace outbuilding for debrief. I
Okay.
It's fine. We'll just go.
I read his
go.
surface
Yeah.
thoughts.
Okay. His surface thoughts are, what does this guy want from me? I'm just a guard.
Okay.
I'm the guy they tell to stand here with a spear.
Stand here, look pretty. Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm not even necessarily pretty. I mean, he does take pride in his appearance. His uniform looks like well maintained, and his spear has obviously been sharpened and polished, etc. And so he takes care of himself. But it's not about that. It's about the security. In any case, he, along with several of these other guards, do begin escorting you through, some of the the courtyards that lead to the larger palace buildings. I think with the high passive insight that a couple of you have, they seem nervous, like scary things are happening, and they're not sure what's gonna come of it all. So
You have
Alright.
Kind of telepathically pinging each of them.
Do you
Okay.
think this is related to what we did?
Oh, yes.
I don't
No.
think so.
No, I mean in the larger sense of.
This is not an open conversation. That's my answer.
Oh,
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to hear
yeah,
all of us, I don't think.
Vertigo is doing one-on-one telepathy with each of you.
Yeah, just kind of polling each
Okay.
person and trying to get a sense of where people are thinking.
Hmm.
I feel like it was Percival Cankers. That's what you hear.
So here's a question. I don't know. I'm actually I'm actually forgetting exactly how we played it out. But did you get a chance to you all discussed the message you got briefly, right? Because Nedry
I don't think
got the
so.
message. Okay, so he
Vertigo
has,
did not mention it. Did not
okay,
mention it.
okay. Well, there you go. So that's a good
yep.
detail then. Okay, so you are escorted. The palace grounds are tense. You simultaneously see people rushing around, but also people are not quiet. Like nobody is just standing around and talking. You see people in a hurry to get from one place to another, apparently on some urgent errand, but no one is acting casually in any way. There's sort of a hushed silence over the place. It seems to, you'd guess it's somewhere in around the neighborhood of like 8 a.m., something like that. but you are brought into a a secure building. This is a building that you recognize because it is actually the same building that you were briefly imprisoned in and then interrogated / initiated in, which is just because it's one of the more secure buildings other than the actual imperial residence. And they bring you into one of the like the larger rooms that could be used for kind of a conference room type of area, and the guards ask you to wait. Please just stay in here for now. I've alerted the friend of the emperor to your presence, and he will meet you here.
Have a drink.
What?
Can I have a drink, please?
Oh, yeah. I'll ask someone. I don't normally do this, so I'll find out.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and they leave. Yeah. So you are in a room here. I think this is old-fashioned stone walls. Like this is kind of like could be a dungeon, except that technically this room is not below ground, right? So there are windows, but they are barred windows. But the furnishings in here, there's a nice rug on the floor. There's a table. There are chairs. It is, it's not a cell, but there is a heavy wooden door, that is closed into the hallway. But, no one
Are
comes
all the
back right away.
windows- Are all the windows in this building barred like that? Like, were they before?
This building seems like it is a building that is used for prisoners when necessary, and other things when prisoners are not necessary.
Okay.
So long as they don't try to lock us in, because I mean, we weren't even here.
Like it's one of
Yeah.
the older buildings in the complex. It's kind of designed as a keep, like a secure building, right?
Time passes. Like, how much time?
Well, I'm giving you the opportunity. Like, if you all say you want to sit there in silence until something happens, then that's what happens. But I didn't know if that's what
I feel like we would discuss it.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
we would
actually-
talk about it.
Vertigo will kind of ping everybody and ask for a kind of visual confirmation.
Do you think we need privacy from prying eyes and ears?
No.
Always.
Probably.
Will take me a moment.
And he'll use protective verses to swap out a spell for private sanctum.
Ooh.
And then take 10 minutes to move around the room and make it impervious to sound, divination spells, and teleportation.
Okay.
Oh, and planar travel for fun too, because that's an option. So when the spell is cast, you'll speak aloud.
We can speak freely. No one can hear us or spy on us here.
What
Oh.
the heck is going on, you guys?
There
I
was
don't
a
know,
moment.
but I have a feeling.
There was a moment when I was afraid that the friend of the emperor might no longer be the friend. We do not know what's going on here.
Our
Maybe
emperor
he never was.
got assassinated, and we were out of town, so that places us in the clear.
So, but
Does it?
do we
It
have
does to
other
me.
suspects?
I mean, we know we didn't do it.
I'm always thinking it's the adversary of Nedry, but I could be wrong.
I mean, it could be one of those tangle feats too.
That's true.
Well, right now, all we know is that the emperor is dead, and that he was assassinated. And given the level of security around the guy, it's got to be somebody powerful. It may have nothing to do with us and
But
everything that's going on, but I doubt it.
but before we left, we actually talked to Nelson Devereaux about the last piece that we need, and they were working on it. Was this what they were doing? They were working on a plan to assassinate the emperor?
He
So-
said they were working on a replacement. So I don't see him doing that.
These things are very powerful and very dangerous. If he tried to remove it from the Emperor, even for a short period of time, without taking precautions, it might have done something very wrong. I'm not ruling him out, but I'm not necessarily pinning my hopes on him.
Him who?
Nelson Devereaux, the friend.
Hmm.
Or the adversary, for that matter.
Do you think it could be him?
Hankers?
I mean, he is running amok now.
Amok.
These things
Exactly.
Yeah.
would
Well,
be of interest, I think. I may be able to track it and determine where it might be.
where what might be?
The other piece that we need. The one that was with the
Emperor had
Emperor.
it.
I can try to see if it's still here, but I suspect that is involved.
So that
I don't
was
think we
me and
knew that
Ivy
for a
that went to
fact,
the
yeah.
palace, right?
Sorry.
So
Ivy and I went to the palace and
Yeah.
scouted that out.
So is Ivy in the tower too? I feel like we're putting a
No, I
little-
think Ivy
Okay.
and Evan were with us.
All right. So that makes sense, I guess. So I think
Buster usually gets a bad first impression, so he was
yeah,
probably in the tower.
Ivy has been kind of like in shock, just kind of doing a little bit of the 1,000-yard stare, but she does say, yes. I mean, I showed you the painting that I had found that had a depiction of the emperor wearing an amulet that looked very much like the image that we had been given to believe was what we needed. And so I had done some research, but I found that when I inquired about the amulet, many of my normal routes of information gathering were suddenly closed to me. But nonetheless, I was told that they were working on a replacement, suggesting that the actual artifact would not be provided, but that they would be providing something else. But that was all unclear, and it was definitely presented to me as a completed answer to my question, and that further questions were not welcome.
And the thing is, they don't even know what it is, so they probably could not replicate it.
I mean,
Perhaps they were going the
we
other
barely
direction.
know what it is.
Perhaps they were
Ivy?
going in the other direction to provide a replica to the Emperor. We know
Ivy?
little about it.
Sorry.
I know you work for the friend of the emperor, but do you trust him?
Well, I had never been given any reason to distrust him. Certainly he prefers to work outside the normal boundaries that we consider the law for most people, and so that can be potentially something that some would see as untrustworthy, but rather it is more that he was given a position that would allow him to bypass the red tape that would normally hang up certain types of investigations and the like, and allow him to work in relative secrecy. That was always the idea. I had not previously done a lot of this type of work that I've been doing since I joined with all of you. I had been in more academic pursuits before that, but I mean, my impression of the man was that his title was not merely symbolic, but that he did in fact care about the emperor. not merely the empire as an institution, but the emperor as a man, and that had always been my impression. I wonder what little we know about this amulet was that it was supposed to reduce or eliminate decay, and I had somewhat of a rudimentary theory that perhaps if the emperor was wearing it, perhaps it was meant to protect him against something, an ailment, or perhaps just to extend his lifespan or something to that effect. I don't know how long he's had it, but the portrait we found was painted some 20 years ago. So he's had it for some time at least. But I wonder, I suppose if it's missing now, that would certainly be one clue as to who might have done it. Someone
Well,
who would know its
Do we
importance.
know it's missing?
The amulet.
I mean, all we know is that he's dead.
Well, that's what I'm asking. I don't know that it's missing. I'm saying that we know nothing right now, but that if it were missing, I mean, my worry, I don't understand any of this. This is rather
I'm gonna
upsetting.
I'm gonna lean over and pat her hand and be like, it's okay. This is a lot.
It's strange. I know it's not a rational position, but I'm finding now that I'm told it has happened that I kind of never really considered the possibility that he could die. Not that I thought he was specifically immortal or anything. I just never really thought about it. He's been the emperor for my entire life, and I kind of, I suppose, just assumed he would continue to be for some time. But I think another important question, though, is certainly the Empire has access to divine magic. Is this not something that could he not be simply
Yeah,
resurrected?
I mean, like, yeah. I mean, let's go. I mean, I
But
can
that's
take
the
care of that
thing.
right now.
That's the thing. If a soul doesn't want to return, it won't.
We don't know the circumstances, too.
Yeah.
And it
There may be
could
something else
also
which is preventing it or making
Right,
it
that.
worse. All magics can be disrupted. And
And
And if
corrupted.
there's anything that we know, is that right now magic is weird.
Good
even
point.
weirder with the Denetherian magic if that was involved.
Does your private sanctum thing, does that, like, do anything with, like, doors and locks or anything like that? Or is it just about, like, scrying and sound and such?
It blocks like magical teleportation and stuff, but doesn't
Okay.
actually block the door.
Okay.
At least I don't think it does. I've never really cast it before.
So somebody
Alright,
could
well.
just walk right in.
So somebody definitely could, yeah. Yeah,
Well,
that's-
somebody does, in fact, and it is Nelson Devereaux, and he looks around and he says, "I was knocking."
What?
So
I'm sorry, my ears are still bothering me from the battle we just finished. There's still some water in there.
Well,
So-
I suppose it's
sit
not
down
important.
and tell us
And
what happened.
he closes the door behind him and he just says, I'm sorry for keeping you waiting, but this has been, I think you've probably been given the principal reasons why, but this has been a difficult morning, and we're doing our best to try to sort things out, but things are moving very fast just now. So,
when did this happen?
I'm sorry, did you say when or how?
When? Did
Well-
this just happen like yesterday or something?
It happened as a matter of fact just last night in the dark hours. It's something that there was an initial disturbance, and guards were dispatched to deal with a monster of sorts that had found its way into the palace, and we, of course, sent the king with his guards to his residence to protect him. Little did we know that the monster must have, in fact, been some kind of a diversion, because once it was dispatched, it simply disappeared, and we heard a blast from the residence, only to discover once we arrived there that the king's chambers had been rather destroyed by an enormous fire blast, and the emperor was dead, along with both of his guards.
That's awful.
It's horrible. Is it reversible? Has anyone tried to resurrect him?
Well, that is a complicated question, because we brought in a priest of Solomonia, and the plan was for them to cast Raise Dead, and yet somehow in the casting of the spell, the priest stopped the ritual, said that the spirit of the emperor had spoken to him and told him to watch for a miracle to occur today at noon. And at that point, he refused to continue the ritual. And we thought to call perhaps a priest of Rashama instead, but this quickly became a political issue, because it seems that Solomonia herself must have communicated to many of her priests, because there are many gathering, waiting to see whatever this miracle is that has been promised. They were all told to watch for something, and it has they have made it clear that the emperor is not to be resurrected otherwise, and that he would refuse in any case. So that has become a problem, because there are many worshippers of Solomonia within the palace guard, and they do not wish to go against their goddess's wishes. And meanwhile, there are other elements of the military that are seeing this as what is hard to argue is a profound attack on our empire, and are therefore determined that this attack must be returned in kind. And if they cannot figure out who is the actual culprit, they will find someone suitable. And
What
in
a
the
miracle.
meantime, I have been openly accused of treason. Now, this is not something that has been levied as formal charges. I am not imprisoned. I am here talking to you. However, all it takes is for one or two people to say the word out loud, and then it becomes sort of a ticking clock, if you follow me.
Who accused you?
One of the defense generals, who believes that it was my involvement and my secret activities that must have led whoever assaulted the emperor into the castle. And he has always frankly had it out for me, thinking that I am below board, so to speak, and not to be trusted for that reason. I myself have always thought of him as a pompous blowhard who thought that everything could be solved with violence. We don't get on, as you might imagine.
Do you have any indication of what actually happened there?
Well, that is something we are investigating. I can tell you that what we know, as I mentioned, is that an aberration, a monster, appeared within the palace, within an area that should have been safe. We don't know how that monster initially appeared, but then we also know that the emperor's residence is supposed to be warded against teleportation and scrying and the like. And yet somehow, while most of the guard were dealing with this monster, someone, there seems to perhaps have been some kind of a scuffle before the blast, but a powerful fireball was detonated within the bedchamber, and as best we can tell, if the Emperor was not already dead, that certainly would have finished him off, and both of his personal guards are dead as well.
What kind of
And
monster was it?
it was, I didn't see it myself, but the descriptions of it couldn't help but remind me some of what you have described to me as this tanglefoot individual, but bigger. It was more like a grizzly bear sized, but had some vaguely frog-like sort of characteristics, but big, long, clawed hands. And
How many eyes did it have?
like I said, I did not see it myself, but I did not receive any indication that it was an unusual number of eyes.
Good.
Well, I'm glad that's good, at least. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be flip. I'm just where things are moving very quickly, as I mentioned, because we are hours away from whatever this miracle is that Solomonia has promised her people. And we have already started breaking into factions even within the palace personnel. So here's the other piece that I know that y'all were interested, asking after a certain amulet,
Mm-hmm.
and it is gone. It has been taken.
It could not have been destroyed, you believe?
Well, in my experience, magical items as powerful as that one tend to be rather resilient, and it is unlikely that the amulet would have been destroyed in a mere fireball. As susceptible as flesh is to fire, magical jewelry tends to be more resilient. But it is missing. And that is not going to look good for my line if that comes out in broader, more public circles. Because, of course, people don't know what we're doing. They don't know what we're up to. What are we really trying to do, and so on. And if it becomes clear that there was even anyone under my employ looking for this artifact that has now been stolen when the Emperor is dead, could look bad, if you follow me. Now, so far, at least, this has not become a problem, but I could see things going that way.
Yeah.
Now, that's the basics of where we're at here. Can you tell me anything about your mission? What is there anything I need to know?
We got the thing that we were after.
Well, that's good, I suppose. So,
Also, the Moon Shadowed Sea kind of isn't anymore, but it's okay. Wasn't a great place anyhow.
well, all right. I suppose I am looking forward to your report, Ivy. And she just says, well, I've started putting together some rough notes in a draft, but it does need polish still. And he's like, just waving off. It's like, no, I get it. I get it. So, there is a real possibility that my ability to offer you the Empire's resources is a limited time offer. But at the same time, for the moment, I still have my authority, and I trust you all that if you all had decided to murder the Emperor to take that amulet y'all were after, you would not be here right now talking to me about it.
Yeah,
We
I mean,
would
like if you
never
if
do
you
that.
well, that, but also if you want witnesses, there are plenty of people. Like you could just ask the Fey Court, and they could tell you. Um, yeah,
No,
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 this is.
I trust you.
Mm,
I was trying to
It
just
would never be so crude. Anyway,
Indeed, I'm just illustrating the point, though, that I do not believe that you all were involved. Now, that said, I would not be surprised if the actual culprit had something to do with the broader mission you all are on.
wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah, I'm starting to lean in that direction, especially since the amulet's gone.
there are more than one faction at work here.
True.
So, is there anything y'all can tell me? Is there anything I can get you that would help you to tell me more?
My hope is if we can find the amulet, perhaps we can find the source of this particular problem. We will need to move freely. Maybe not in Pashan for a little while. I doubt they've
Is-
remained here, but I can check.
Is it gonna be a problem if we leave? Because I mean, we did just get here, but like we're not trying to be suspicious or anything here.
No, I understand. I understand. Now, I let me be really clear here. This is something I still very much hope will not happen. But where things stand right now is that if someone decides that, I and you by extension are in trouble, we're not really talking about proper legal channels here at this point. This is a succession issue, especially if the Emperor cannot be resurrected for whatever reason. Technically, he does have a chain of command that is supposed to be the proper succession, but we've got the generals agitating to find and punish whoever did it. And if they think that the proper line of succession isn't going to do what they want, maybe they're going to think about whether a different sort of change in succession should happen. And I have no idea what the Solomonians are up to.
Nothing about this miracle has been said.
It's been
Do you
promised.
have
That's
do
all
you
I
have
know.
eyes? Do you have eyes on the emperor in whatever state you might happen to be in?
Well, I mean, not right at this moment, unfortunately. I certainly was able to see the
Well,
scene.
I mean,
but
not you personally,
I'll-
but
no,
I'll be back in a
I
bit.
in a
understand what you
general
mean,
sense.
but yes, I do not currently, through my own power or any of my reportees, so to speak, have possession of the body or any of the sites. Those have been taken over by the the Solomonian priests, and it's not so much that we couldn't force them out if we needed to, but it becomes a question of what level of force are we willing to apply under the circumstances.
Well, mostly I would be concerned that, this miracle um, was really just to install a replacement of some kind and make it seem like a miracle. I don't like to think that about people, but it should be considered as a possibility.
Did only the priest of Solomonia hear the emperor's voice?
That's my understanding. They were performing the ritual. I'm not an expert in divine magic. I couldn't tell you if anything looked amiss, but they interrupted their ritual and said that they were contacted. But simultaneously, many other worshippers of Solomonia were likewise contacted throughout the city to expect this miracle at noon.
How difficult would it be to get in to see the Emperor's body?
Well, right now, I think it would take some doing, but that's not to say it's impossible. I think it would
Because-
probably depend quite a bit on how you presented this intention.
Well, I don't know how I would present it, but I think that we need to try to speak with Dead and hear it from the Emperor himself.
Well, that's
What is
that's
going
going to
on?
be a problem. I did mention it was a rather intense blast. The body was not in good condition.
It doesn't have to be. I mean, as long as
My understanding
as we
is it
could
does
find his
require a mouth.
yeah, or a skull with teeth
I
and
was
jaw.
told that it would not be possible.
Hmm. I wonder if that's true.
Do
Well, I
you
know that
have
the
any
original intent.
resources, Aileen?
What?
Well, I was just wondering if you had any resources that didn't necessarily require, the body right here. Like, I don't know,
Mm.
like one of those seance things. I don't know. Can you just summon a spirit and talk to it? Like, I don't know how this works. Just kind of like outside confirmation. That's not Solomonia or a priest thereof. Just saying. I mean, do you
No.
think your mistress would know?
It's possible. I would have to meditate and try to commune with her to see. But
Well, it might be
Hmm.
worth trying, if nothing else.
Well, I mean, the truth is that, there's quite a lot of worshippers of Solomonia here in the city. This is not like some cult, right? And I'm just saying that, the priest that we brought in was not someone that I would have expected to ever carry any kind of ulterior motives. I can only take his statement at face value. Now, that's to say, I don't know that I understand what's happening, but I would not have suspected uh, any sort of deception in his message.
One person can be deceived, but if others have received it, it is not, from my understanding, in the nature of Solomonia or her followers to hide or lie about anything.
But quite the contrary, in my experience.
But they don't always tell you exactly what's going on.
Well, it is unusual to promise a miracle, but not say what it is, and keeping that secret. But then again, I don't know the nature of miracles either, so I'm not saying you wouldn't be able to talk your way in there, or what you might be able to do had you gotten to that point. But as I mentioned, right now, I think it's politically difficult.
Well, maybe it's better if we take care of some of our business in the meantime. Because, I mean, it's not like we're going to have a front row seat to this miracle anyway, so.
Do we know what kind of questions we would want to ask? They have to be yes or no questions. Like, did the Emperor speak to the priest of Solomonia?
Is
Did
this
the
you're talking
spirit-
about speak with dead here still, or
No. I'm going to commune with my goddess and
ah?
see if I can get some answers, but they have
Well-
to be yes or no questions.
We do have some specific suspects.
Do you now?
Well, specific in general, I suppose. Factions, as I mentioned before. They have many faces.
Well, maybe one specific.
Well, Nedry, please forgive me here. I'm not meaning this to be accusatory or anything, but when people I'm asking questions of say things like specific in general, that is the sort of thing that I take to mean that they're hiding something from me. And I don't
Specifically,
mean to accuse. I'm just saying.
I think I understand you. one thing you should be aware. There were many costs that were paid for the work that we have done. Please address me by Vertigo.
He's being a little weird, sorry.
Well, you know what? I mean, far be it from me to call someone something other than what they request. So, Vertigo it is.
Thank you. The factions we have been dealing with have many faces, most of which are not their own. So we are able to categorize them into factions. But the specific elements of that faction are more difficult to describe. They are in many ways not individuals. They are more like forces or consequences. So we know some general specifics, if you will.
See, you know what? I still feel somewhat frustrated with that response, but I understand that these things are not straightforward. It's just you are with me in not knowing what the answer is.
Were I to tell you more, I am afraid that you would take the wrong action. Eager as you are to solve this problem, eager as you are to bring some balance, but an improper action, if you went in the wrong direction, would only serve the interests of the other factions.
See, now
cause
I'm
more
worried
problems.
that you're not telling us something.
Well, I mean, is plenty that I'm not telling you, but only because it does
Oh, no,
not seem
I meant
pertinent.
Vertigo there.
Oh, well, okay.
So
Well,
I think in general we suspect what was it? Percival cankers, and then are those tanglefoot creatures, tanglefeet. What did we don't have a name for them, but they
so
appear like those monsters, but they can also appear
The
like
instigators,
people, so.
I think, is an appropriate title for that faction.
well, whoever it is must have had some way not only to conjure monsters within the palace grounds, but also bypass the many wards and protections that were on the Emperor's residence. So, if it is Percival, then he has managed to level himself up once again, it would seem. Because I still do not know how he would have accomplished whatever he did in there. But
Change is the one constant through all of these things, and the adversary changes often. Tell me, were there any close to the Emperor who are no longer around?
well, both of
People
his
who would have
personal
been-
guards died with him.
Are they all accounted for?
That is my understanding.
Servants? Advisors?
Advisors.
Well, that is a long list, and we have only a few hours into this investigation. So, I mean, those are good questions to ask, and I don't have all those answers for you.
Those would be clues. If someone who was close and could remain close spoke to the Emperor, they may have changed them, or influenced them, or influenced someone close to them. I do not want to send you on a hunt that is impossible, but you now see why it is difficult to say, for sure, much of
Yeah.
anything.
So,
I mean, you could have just said we don't know.
Yeah, that would have been a good idea.
well, so here's where I'm at right now, just to kind of get us back up to the top level of this discussion. Is I'm working real hard to try to keep some of these other hot-blooded individuals from making big decisions in the heat of the moment, if you follow me. I'm trying to keep things cool as best I can. However, this is the sort of action that tends to make hot-blooded individuals say things like, if you're not with us, you're against us, that sort of thing. And I'm working hard on trying to keep that calm for now. However, the news has gotten out, and the city is not going to take this well, I don't think. Not to mention whatever this supposed miracle is going to be. Who knows? Maybe it'll be great.
Is there anything that you need from us? Anything we can do?
Well, I mean, if you can tell me who killed the emperor and why he would not want to come back, that would be start. But I know you were also working on something important to before that. So if you can find that amulet, that's
How
definitely
old?
something.
How old was the emperor?
Well, certainly old by human standards. And I suppose it's pointless to try to keep that element from you now, but he certainly had his life extended by that amulet. I can't pretend to be an expert in all of its arcane properties, but it did come into his possession as a means of helping him to cope with an ailment that was causing him great physical distress. And it did that, and since then he has lived long and healthy to the point where, I mean, he's an old man, but he's not, centuries old.
Was he unhappy?
Well, I think that that is a hard question to ask someone in that position. Um,
Did he live for himself or for his kingdom? Empire.
it is my personal feeling that he's a good man that really does want the best for his people. But that does not always mean that everyone is going to agree on what that requires. Right? Now, I think by and large, he has done the right thing by turning most of the decision making over to his council and remaining as sort of a, not entirely just a figurehead, but someone who defers a lot of decision making to his advisors. And I think that's the right thing. And I believe that he believes it was the right thing, and that's why he did it. But he's always been a private man and keeps many of his innermost thoughts to himself. And I think I know him better than most. But that does not mean I know everything.
Who is supposed to be next in line?
Sorry, I'm adjusting stuff on my display here. Well, so that is going to be one of the, the ministers of the council are going to hold a vote amongst their number. And so far, the only person who has put their name forward is General DeMille, who is the hot-blooded individual that I mentioned previously. And there is some support behind his promise to hunt down those responsible and any like them who would see harm done to the empire.
So, in my experience, people who really want power should never have it.
Well, that's the trick, isn't it, though?
Is this general above suspicion?
I think that if he wanted the emperor dead, he could have made that happen a long time ago. I don't know why now would have been any different. He does seem to be motivated, as best I can tell, from a sincere desire to see the Empire flex its muscles lest it appear weak.
Who does he blame?
I think that he is like the rest of us right now in looking for that answer. But he is also, as I mentioned, likely to see enemies in whoever tells him he's wrong.
Pay attention to who speaks to him. There may be someone there.
Well, the other thing that I have done already in an attempt to try to slow down the wheels that are turning right now, I've actually invited some representatives of other governments for a summit of sorts. Hopefully, some representatives from Emirate Arboris, Rushama, Barrier Mountains, and Villa Nocta will be able to provide some outside perspective and intelligence on this matter, but in some ways that's a stalling tactic. So I kind of have to get back to all of that, but please, if I can do anything for you, I will try to arrange it. If there is anything you think that will help this whole conundrum we find ourselves in, I'm eager to hear it. In the meantime, I'm just a little bit sad, but I'm a lot scared. This is,
All of
How
that is
long-
understandable.
How long did you know the Emperor?
well, now that's starts getting personal, doesn't it? A long time. Not trying to keep anything from you, but I also think right now I'd be better off not delving too deep into some of those wells, if you follow me.
Get it?
So I've, for now, arranged that it is understood that you all have free range of the palace as you need. You won't be stopped from leaving if you need to. But as I mentioned, there are those who are already maneuvering against me, and I cannot promise you that they won't interfere against my wishes.
We will have need to meet up with our allies here as part of what we are doing.
Lord Relenthin, the like, you mean?
Yes.
My understanding is that he has landed his castle back at the Skyport Tower.
Thank you.
Well, if there's anything else, then please do let me know.
We appreciate your time. Thank you for saying this.
Of course. This is a busy time, but nonetheless, I can't help but think that your mission does tie into all of this, and therefore I would not want to see it interrupted.
Thank you. We'll do our best.
And so he, he stands up, opens the door. You see him like nod at one of the guards and then kind of lean into, whisper something to him, and then he leaves, and the guard sort of like looks to you like he's holding the door open for you.
All right. We walk out like we own the place.
All right.
We will need to.
In a somber,
Actually, where are we going?
appropriate.
You swagger out with big like. No.
We should go to
Uh,
Lord Hubert.
I don't
Yogurt.
want to leave the palace just yet. I would like to try to commune
Okay.
because I want to do it nearby where it happened.
Sure. Do you
So
where?
that
What
takes
kind
1
of
minute.
place do you find for that? you know, you're on the palace grounds, so I'll give you kind of carte blanche to kind of describe the sort of place you would seek out.
Is there, like, where the explosion was?
Well, so that area probably would, you know, you would need to, you know, get past some people to go directly there. I kind of assumed you meant more like a little out of the way private place, but
Yeah, yeah, I will do that. I just
okay.
wondered if there was somewhere near there, like, maybe somewhere
Yeah, I
outside
mean,
that wasn't
yeah,
right
like
there.
there's some like little gardens, courtyards that are near the building where the emperor's residence is.
Okay.
I think there's a, you know, the emperor's residence is part of, like, there's one big tower, but then also, you know, a larger structure where there's various sort of administrative functions and other just like, you know, kitchens and servants' chambers and all of that. But then one big wing of it is where the emperor's private chambers are, and that's kind of built up on a little bit of a like a hill, so it's sort of more visible from, you know, the scenery around, but also a little harder to get up to. And you certainly are aware, or, you know, it's, you would expect there to be many like magical protections on it.
Okay. I'm gonna light my incense
Okay.
and
Is there any way we can help you with this, Aileen?
no, unless there's anything yes or no specific that you'd like to know.
The list is too long.
I know. It is. If not, I have 3 questions.
Okay.
So, my first question is, did the Emperor's spirit speak with the priest of Solomonia?
I'm just trying to think how you would receive the answer, because certainly the Mistress of the Dark has just spoken with you directly before. I think without it really needing to even be in words, you nonetheless feel the connection, telling you yes.
Could I speak with his spirit without being close to his non-existent body? Is there a way?
I I think I think the answer is no. Well, the other caveat that I'll just say, you know, out of the commune context, is that the speak with dead spell is not actually speaking with the spirit or the soul of the person. It's
It's
like the
body.
body's memory.
Okay.
So, in the context of saying, can I speak with his spirit? That's a different thing than could I use speak with dead, for example. So
Right. That's what
just,
I was asking.
okay. So you
Like,
wanted
if
to
there was a
say,
way to speak with him.
right. Okay. So in that context, though, the answer is no.
Okay. Can we trust the friend of the Emperor?
um, I think I think the answer you get is somewhere along the lines of for now.
Okay. And then I will rejoin everybody and let them know
Mhm.
that the Emperor did speak with the priest of Solomonia.
So everything seems on the up and up as far as what we've been told. I think we need to get to the Skyport Tower. We need to get to Sunya.
Although, I must admit some curiosity as to witnessing a miracle.
I think
Now,
we'll
how many
hear
hours
about
is
it.
that? I don't know. It'd be interesting if we could see it, but I don't know if I want to be like front row because it could be something terrible.
Yeah, I feel like I don't really want to be there personally, but
I'm sure we'll hear about it. If there are survivors.
Yeah.
I mean, have we considered the possibility that maybe one of our Tanglefoot friends has ingratiated itself into Solomonia's court? It's possible.
It is a little bit disturbing to think of the gods as easily manipulable as mortals or dragons. But gods are not infallible, despite what they often say.
Well,
Yeah.
for now, let's go home.
Mhm.
We're
So
back.
it's still a few hours away from noon. But yeah, I think you can certainly arrange to make your way out of the palace grounds. And I don't know, how do you? Uh, we haven't kind of done this in a little while, but how about the? So certainly we could imagine that you just walk, but I'd like to offer you the opportunity to come up with some imaginative means of public transportation or other means of conveyance.
All the Blake turtles from down there came here, and then people can take them to get to where they want to go.
There's
Giant
a
Blake
Like there's
turtle taxis.
levitating streetcars. Like someone's cast levitation on them. They've got like a booster thing or a fan even on the back end that they could just go down the street.
Well, it could have some sort of a basic like construct, because one of the things that we established was that sequential is unusual, but that there are like more like mindless standard sort of construct machines that are around.
There's a
So they
network
could
of
pull.
unused. There's a network of unused hearths which are rented out for short-term travel. It's called Air Flu and B. Sorry, Air Fluber and B.
Or just Fluber.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to work the Airbnb in there somehow. It didn't work, but that's okay.
I like the giant blink turtles that are taxis.
I like that too, but I think the blink turtles that escaped from the moon-shadowed sea probably wouldn't have had time yet to become established as business owners.
That's true.
Also,
Maybe
isn't
it
their
was, like-
movement kind of random?
I
No,
mean,
they're
they
just
weren't
blinking.
trained.
They just
Although they were
blink
used to
in
running
and
in
out.
straight lines, maybe. Of course, that was the snails, wasn't it?
That's going to be my big task for the end. Is I'm going to get some blink turtles. I'm going to train them to do public transportation.
Train them to do public service to pay for what they've done.
Yes.
What did they do?
Oh, we don't know yet. But they were in the moon-shadowed sea, so,
Yeah.
Corrupt.
I think there could be like giant water slides that go down downhill.
Oh, giant water slides that go uphill.
Sure.
Ooh.
I mean, they could be
Yeah.
magic. Magic water slides.
A network of water slide tunnels, like roller coasters.
Mm-hmm. And then a little
But you
sort
don't
of
get wet.
archway that prestidigitates you dry when you get on the other side.
You walk through a wall of air. Just put your hands in here.
So did you want to pick one of those? I mean, I like many of those options. Just paint out our.
I
mental
like the
picture of this.
streetcar idea.
Yeah.
like
Kind of like
hovering
to
streetcars.
and get a lay of the land, because you know buildings and stuff change, and we've been gone for a minute, so give us a way to like see
Sure.
what's where now.
Yeah. Certainly, there are a lot of people who just seem to be going about their business in an ordinary way, but there are a lot of people who look worried. There's a lot of people who look nervous. There's a lot of talk. There's already sort of like newspapers sort of starting to talk about like emperor assassinated, council in turmoil, that sort of thing. And a lot of it seems like I think you probably overhear 5 different rumors about what happened on the way. Each more implausible than the last. And yeah, there's just people want to know what's going to happen. There, you hear a couple of people talking about like, they think that the miracle is going to be Solomonia finally coming to live on the material plane and rule over everybody here like they do on Mount Celestia.
Yeah, but why?
Isn't she already titled Empress?
Well, not only that,
Well,
she's Empress of like heaven, like
Yeah.
Mount Celestia, like the plane of lawful good. Like it does seem like
She's just
Like it'd be a
collecting
step
chairs
down,
at this point.
honestly.
yeah,
But
Pashan would be kind of a step down. Yeah.
She's collecting chairs. It's really what it's all about
Hmm.
in various realms.
Yeah. But so in any case, you make your way back to the Skyport Tower, and you can go ahead and I think you have plenty of money to ride the little elevator up. And as you
I don't know. We haven't gotten paid in a while.
Yeah, I'm completely
Zindhorn. I think I still have money. I could get us up
Mhm.
the tower.
We're on credit, aren't we? Right now.
I don't
have
know.
we
He
needed
did
any
give us
I think
money.
we're fine.
Yeah, like he did give us money at one point. I still have like 18 platinum and 46 gold, so we're
yeah.
good.
I mean, remember these elevators were only expensive for like level 1 characters.
Well, I don't know if I've actually kept up with it, but currently Vertigo has 0 funds.
Hmm.
I think I bought a few things, books
Yeah.
maybe.
But in any case, so you get back up there, and I think at first you see that the doors are closed, but as soon as the castle there is there, and as I think you approach, the doors fly open, and you hear it's like, oh my gosh, you're all back, welcome, please come in, come in, come in.
Oh, I am just flat out running straight inside, hugging a pillar. I missed you so much.
Oh my gosh, I missed you too. I was so worried about you all in the Feywild. Did everything go okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, mission accomplished, but I think it depends on your point of view.
There
It's
will likely
complicated.
there will likely be change.
Yeah.
And we call him, I guess, Vertigo now. He's
Oh,
a little weird now. He's not the same person that left. So if he says things that don't make sense, you'll figure it out.
okay. Well, if you want to talk about it, Vertigo, then okay. I'm here.
You
I'm all
won't
around you.
understand, but we may talk.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
we'll
right now
talk.
everybody's in the map room right now. They were discussing the awful news.
Well,
Alright.
hopefully we can bring some good news.
Yep.
All
You
right.
are
So,
fully landed, yes?
oh yeah. They're in the same sort of platform on the Sky Tower.
Good.
I'm
Off we
just
go.
suddenly
Head on up.
imagining Curity having probably the expectation that it was not going to necessarily be a long time after the like you didn't tell her how long she was waiting, but it's fine. I don't.
We
I'm
didn't
just-
know we were gonna get detained.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody expects the emperor to get assassinated, you know.
It's true, they
Nobody
don't.
expects.
The Emperor's Inquisition.
Yep, that's what I was
The
gonna say.
the Spanish Imposition.
All right, so, you move on into the map room, I assume.
Yes.
All right, and so I think in there you see, Sequential is there, and Brennan and Yobert is in his sort of little motorized, mechanized chair, and Sorashana is there, although she's kind of in the corner tinkering with something. But her mask is kind of up on top of her head, and but she sees you and sort of smiles, and then goes back to tinkering, but smiling still, and um, everyone else is just welcome back. We sort of. It's a surprise to have you just walk in, but it's certainly a welcome one. So,
Well, we would have
did?
called, but
Yes, I understand things are quite chaotic right now. I'm sure you've heard the news here in Bashan.
How do you feel, Lord Hubert?
Well, it was a strange sensation, but several of us here felt as though somehow psychically we connected to all of you. But it was hard to understand what we were feeling, but it felt like we were helping to carry the load of some sort of a psychic burden. But it felt
Yeah,
like we were able to help some.
you did. You helped us. Well, you helped me and Vertigo, formerly known as
Inasmuch,
Medri.
inasmuch as anything is real, that was too real.
Incredible.
Yes.
It was an uncanny experience, but uh, it felt like we did good. But we have been rather eager to find out what that all was about. Um, I'm very
Well,
happy to have you all return safely, as far as I can see.
But nothing else has changed.
how do
How's
you
your heart?
feel physically?
Ah, well, healthy, I suppose.
Interesting.
so maybe we should just tell him.
Mhm.
Lady Despair's dead. We got the gem. The Moon Shadow Sea is not a thing anymore. And
excuse me.
It's
There is
gone.
some presumption in
one
there,
more
but
thing.
the evidence is strong.
One more thing. We have brought back some
Just
how
tell
do I
him.
phrase it? We've brought back Curity and her armor. Or your armor, I should say.
I I don't know what you mean about the armor, but Curity, where is she?
He's in my tower. We were scared, but
Well, concerned that in introducing those objects, that person and the armor into this particular castle might have some ill effects. We weren't sure, so we were hedging our bets. But she's with us.
Is the curse is the curse still active?
She's not dead.
she was able to leave the
Yep.
Feywild.
But she has changed.
I can only imagine. I know the effects that the curse had on me. I
Did you see her before all of these change or after all of these changes took place, or you have no idea of
Is
what
she
might have changed?
is she weakened as I am?
Mm, it's a little
She's
different.
like you're physically weakened. She's emotionally
Do you know
weakened.
who Sorashana is?
I think you mean Sunya.
Sorry.
That's a Mark problem,
Okay.
not a Vertigo problem.
Ah,
Although it's also an interesting question, but not the one he's asking right now.
Do you know who Sunya is? What she is?
he kind of sort of sits back and he's looking thoughtful for a moment, and soon he says, "Well, what do you mean? I'm the spirit of the castle."
No. No, you're not. You're much
Well,
more
I
than
mean,
Yobert kind of holds out a hand and he says, "I had no way to know for sure, but I did always somewhat suspect there's the coincidence of the timing, but also just
the
a
name?
familiar manner, and of course, the name. I mean, the name I gave her because of the resemblance I recognized."
It
Well,
wasn't a coincidence. She's been
and
with you
sh-
all this time.
and you've been with her.
mostly.
The armor that we mentioned
Magic
was
is
the part of you.
chaos and force beyond recognition. Establishing balance and returning the even nature of the universe is unknown in this circumstance. There may be consequences, and they may be good, or there may be none. The consequences are already wrought.
You say she's alive and she's here. I,
Yeah.
From
Let's
I
from
bring
would-
what
her out.
she says is that the changes that occurred are likely permanent. But like I said, we weren't 100% certain what was going to happen when we came back. So
Oh yeah, she's in the tower.
I,
Do you
is there?
need?
Do I need to go into the tower? Is there a can she
No.
be brought out?
I think
well
so.
with
Stop
Sunya
torturing the man and
parked-
bring her out.
Yeah, I think with Sunya parked, I think we'll be okay. We're not gonna fall out of the sky. So
Is that a concern?
We don't know.
we don't
But
know.
it's
That's
just
the
a
thing.
thing that
We
Carolina
stand on an edge once more. We merely
Sunya-
wanted to
and
make sure you were aware
Vertigo
of it.
is just full of riddles. And yeah, so I'm gonna go get her. I'll be right back.
Sunya says, I'm not sure I understand what everyone's talking about, but Yobert, if Curity's here, I'm nothing but happy for you." And
So I'm gonna go in and like, well,
Vertigo will get out
We're-
his book because he needs to chronicle
we're
what the hell's
here.
going to happen, one way or the other.
yeah.
are you ready?
And she kind of opens her mouth and doesn't say anything right away. And then Valor says, "We are ready."
All right. I will.
Yeah, it says, where am I coming out? Is he there?
Yes.
All right. And so she'll walk out, and she comes out, and Valor follows, and from a magical perspective, nothing obvious happens. But from an emotional perspective, she steps out like confidently but slowly. But then, even as she kind of just takes in the room and then sees him, there's sort of another step, but then another and another, and then she has hurried over to his side, and he has moved the chair forward to meet her, and they hug. And Valor says, "Ah, the reward of victory is sweet. Am I to understand that this surrounding is, in fact, my counterpart, Sunya?"
You're
So-
correct.
Sunya's
Yep.
just kind of saying, "Ooh, who's this?"
Feel like we
This
might
is
need
your
to leave
new
the room here.
boyfriend.
Yeah. Got warm in here real fast.
That's not awkward.
I'm gonna pull out my sketch pad and
Yeah.
sketch the two of them hugging.
So I think that there is some initial, like, false starts of speaking between Curity and Yobert, and then Yobert just turns to the rest and says, "I am enormously grateful to you all, and I hope that you will all understand that I believe I would like to carry
How do
out
you
my
feel?
initial
I
overwhelmed.
think that's a complicated question. To
Uh,
be sure.
I
Brenda.
was in the process of requesting that you all excuse us so that we might have our
You have a lot
reunion
to catch
in
up on.
private. And
Should we leave the castle entirely?
I don't think that's necessary.
I mean,
No.
they're not the only two which are acquainting each
it's-
other.
It's fine.
There's other people here too, though. Brennan, and Sorshana, and let's go find Sorshana and
Well, so here's the thing: is that Yobert and Curity do kind of go together off to in the direction of where Yobert's sort of private chambers are, and I guess everyone make an insight check.
Oh no, roll. How do I do
Oh my
I
this?
know. I
Gosh.
figured it needed to be at least one.
I can't even see my character sheet.
24.
17.
16.
10.
All right. Well, so Zinhorn with that highest roll, that 24, certainly you see, I think the emotions you kind of probably would expect from Yobert and Curity, as flat as her affect tends to be, she does seem interested and very much willing to go with Yobert. Yobert seems overwhelmed but happy. But the thing that you notice as you're sort of watching them go is that Brennan is doing his best to hide that his heart seems broken.
Oh, we should have brought back something for him.
But he turns to all of you and just says, I can't believe it. It's not something we ever thought was even possible. But you did it. I mean, you're all incredible. I just wish I could have. I don't know. I feel like I wish I could have been there to see it, but in some ways, I kind of felt that psychic, whatever it was. Did you? And you
It
killed
would
that,
not have been pleasant.
the Lady Despair. If
You-
there was ever
Oh,
someone
yeah.
who had it coming.
So far as we know.
How are you doing?
I'm just so happy you're back and Curity's back and it's great, and I think it's kind of a crazy day as you can imagine. All of you coming back and with the Emperor, it's kind of hard to process everything. But obviously, welcome back. Your beds are ready for you if you need to rest or if there's anything. Are you hungry?
I'm I think
I can eat.
I'm okay, but
I have missed your cooking.
So have I.
Well, I tell you what I can do for you right now is I can make you a meal. So, yeah, you just, you settle in. I'll get preparing something, and I guess, we'll figure out what happens next. And he kind of
thank you.
hurries off.
So about what time is it now?
It's probably it's like maybe 11:30 or something like that. So it's not too far off from noon.
So if we were
Um,
to eat up
maybe.
on the roof,
Yeah, I was thinking
would
that
we be
same
able to
thing.
see what was going on?
Maybe you don't know what's going to happen exactly, but it would
Well, if
probably
there are
you'd see
any
more
like
than you would if you were
beams
inside.
of miraculous light come down, we'd be able to see it from there probably, but
I do have a question for Sunya.
Okay. How can I help you, Vertigo?
How do you feel? Have you
Well,
changed?
I'm. It's funny because I wouldn't have thought that I felt incomplete before, but it's strange because having Curity and Valor show up doesn't feel like people that I'm just meeting. It it feels like I've known them a long time. And
But you are well.
I am. I feel. Is it weird to say that I feel wonderful?
that's good. It's especially good because I had the worst nightmare.
Oh no.
It's really scary.
Ah,
But it was just a nightmare, so it's okay.
well, I'm glad. I'm. I know that you've probably been through a lot, so um, hopefully there's. Well, I wish I could tell you that there's plenty of time to rest as long as you need. I don't know that that's true though. But if you need anything, I'm ready if we need to go anywhere.
We may need to travel soon.
Okay.
I know you'll be ready. You're awesome.
You guys are awesome. I can't believe you went to the Feywild and killed the Lady Despair.
It was not easy.
That was
And
not
we
the
helped a
biggest achievement.
Titan crossover.
Yep.
Crossovers
Like we helped it die.
okay,
think
I
a
mean
better
from
way to
context
say
I'm
it
sure
is that
that's good, but
It's now at
He was
peace.
suffering so
oh
much.
no.
Oh yeah.
Well, good then. I'm glad that you were able to help it. It seems like there's a lot of folks that are being helped by all of you. And I think I'm just so happy that, that through whatever quirk of fate brought you to us, that we've all been able to become a family together.
Work of fate. Kind of look at Sorashana over there. I guess. To the roof? I'm
To
gonna
the
give her
roof.
wall another hug on the way.
Oh, sure. Sequential is just standing there, just saying, "Hey, been holding down
Oh,
the
him
fort."
too. Yeah.
So yeah, you head up to the roof, and so before too long, you a sort of a tray of pastries, like danishes and muffins, is sent up. But I think Sequential brings those up. And says, Brennan says there's more on the way, but this is just to start.
Oh, wonderful.
And Sorashana has not come up and joined you on the roof, but Sequential does say there's been a lot going on with Sorashana that she's not really talking about. But she's been like this. I'm not saying this like I think it's a problem exactly, but she's been talking to Kosh a lot more, but not telling the rest of us what she's talking about. Just, you know, she's not like she's keeping it from us, but just like she kind of just goes quiet if we ask her.
Well, we had a little pit stop in the realm of dream, and it's not pretty. Well, I mean, it was pretty, but there's also like some bad stuff.
Oh, you guys have. At the same time that part of me is jealous that you're doing all the cool stuff, it also sounds like it's been a lot safer here. So,
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Oh yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But yeah, I think um, we've been making some progress, though, just in the research. And the fact that you've actually been to the realm of dream is interesting, because we've kind of we've built some gear that kind of ties into the whole detect nightmare spell, and it's kind of fascinating. It's not led to all that many arcane like breakthroughs yet, but it just really feels as though research into things connected to the plane of dream is making itself easier right now. It's strange because it's not just that it's more present, it's feels like something is pressing it into everyone's subconscious.
Well, that sounds like a cry for help if I ever heard one, and probably with good reason, because apparently the realm of nightmare is just like overflowing, and they're getting a lot of spillage into the realm of dream, and there's a slight concern that it might kind of explode, seems the wrong word, but I can't really think of a better one at the moment.
Explode
But it's a
seems bad.
problem. Yeah, really bad.
Well, so is there something we can do, or like?
Well, I think that's something we have to talk about. Um,
Well, we kind of need the amulet that the Emperor was wearing when he got killed that is now missing.
Oh, that
So,
seems like a problem.
yeah. We've got the other pieces, the other two pieces that we need, uh, so that we can uh, open a hole safely to get into uh, Denethor.
All right.
But we don't know where the amulet is now.
Hmm.
So,
All right. Well, I suppose if it was as simple as scrying on it, someone would have done that by now already, right?
um, I don't know. Um, I think we need to do that.
All right. Well, I mean, like Sorashana and I, we've got the setup downstairs. We could do that, but I mean, if it's all we've got is the basic scrying spell, so if it's got protections beyond that, it's not going to work.
The answers might be interesting, regardless of the success or failure.
I mean, we didn't find it before, though, right? I mean, that was we found out that we think the Emperor had it because Ivy found that painting or something, right? I think we tried scrying for it before and it didn't work. So I guess I was kind of just assuming that that wouldn't work now, but we could try it.
Yeah, it's worth trying.
All right. Well, yeah, you guys eat. I'll report back in a little bit.
Okay.
So yeah, he goes back down to the workshop.
I wonder if Sorashana would have any insight into, I don't know, maybe Kasha's told her some things that might be helpful for us? And if we put our pieces together with her pieces, maybe we might have a bigger picture there.
I still do not know who she is.
Mm.
Which intrigues me still.
She's Sorashana. What else do you need to know?
He's the spirit of the castle.
No, that's Sunya.
Sunya.
It's been a while since we've been home.
Hmm. It's true. We've got a lot of NPCs we're dealing with.
And Kosh
Oh,
intrigues
yeah.
me. I think that Kosh sees things differently, too.
Yeah. I think so.
So, as you've been talking, I think you kind of start becoming aware that the light is changing a little. And it's not like dramatic at first. It's just in the same way that when, it's partly cloudy and the sun kind of will, the cloud will move in front of the sun a little bit and then move out again. And so, like, it's kind of just that, but it kind of catches your eye and you find yourself glancing over in the direction of the palace, which you can't see from here. And there is a already clear and growing pattern where it's overcast over much of the city, but light beaming down on the palace very significantly.
What is she doing and why?
At the very least, making a show. This is no quiet miracle.
Hmm.
So I think, as um, eventually Sequential and Sorashana come back up and just kind of say, no, it's whatever, wherever it is right now, it's being blocked from divination magic. But whoa, what's going on over there? And I think Brennan has come back up and he's got like a plate of uh, bacon and little meat pies and some let's see what else, little omelet bites that are done in like little muffin tins. But as he comes up and you're all just kind of like looking over, this effect where the sun is shining down just on the palace becomes all the more intense. And then you can see what looks like a slowly falling star descending down out of this sunbeam towards the palace. And it's bright, not so much, no, not so bright that it like hurts to look at, but just really striking as it hangs over the city, and it descends until it's very obviously above the palace itself. And then you all hear resounding throughout the city, and at this point you're miles away, but at the same time you hear this voice very clearly. It doesn't sound loud, it just sounds resonant. And the voice just says, "Behold my city. I have sent you a regent, which will guide you into a new era of prosperity and purity and grace." And then this
I don't
light
like this.
sort of descends further down into the palace. And as the clouds suddenly start to clear and more of these little sunbeams start sort of piercing down through, you see that there are, like, you look and you see as these little tiny sort of, what they sometimes call God rays, right, are going down, and you watch as um, they seem to be hitting like specific buildings and specific people, and the church, like the main temple of Solomonia, is also like very much influenced by this, and it does not look like natural. It looks like, it's targeted, but these beams are, like sending something to those places.
I'm gonna take out my monocle of what is it, true seeing or
Okay.
something? Monocle of secret seeing,
Okay.
and see if it looks any different.
So remind me, that is that's the one that you were given by the Feywild, right? The
Yeah.
Archfey. Um,
And
I
I did.
think what it lets you do is be the first to see that shortly after this starts to happen, emerging from many of these buildings where these rays were hitting, you see people emerging with great big beautiful white feathered angel wings on their back, and they seem to be physical, but they're flying now and looking exuberant and joyous in their um, like discovering their newfound flight with these new wings they have just grown. And I think
Hmm.
that's actually where we're going to end the session for tonight.
Okie
Hmm.
doke.
So we a little bit of a shorter session tonight, but it seemed just like a big moment to finish on. So we are going to be off next week, but we will plan to be returning the week after on November 7th. So stay tuned then, everybody, and we will be back in 2 weeks for more adventure on so many levels.
So many
Oh,
levels.
many.
Oh, many
Yes.
levels.